what America has been up to in 2025.
Of no people helper.
Of dirtbag.
A few days later, of stop fightings or no trades,
Of okays.
Of okays.
Of fricks you, piece of craps.
of stop fightings.
Of okays.
Of okays.
A few days later,
Of turd proxy.
Of cockroach.
of stops fighting and builds a road named after me.
Of okay.
Of okay.
A few days later,
Ha Trump Road.
Of gets out.
Of gets oofed.
of stop fightings, of especiallys you Palestine.
Of okay's daddy. M of means America.
Why of me especiallys?
A few days later,
Of no German.
Of expansion is prick.
of stop fightings,
Shut up.
of okay.
Click the link in the description to join my Discord server.